Hello, everyone. Welcome to our presentation on market structures. It is presented by me, Julian, Derek, and Sunny. So today we'll be covering the four market structures and an example for each, as well as our own product that we have created.
So, I'll be explaining the market structure of perfect competition using the wheat farming industry as an example. Firstly, how many firms are in the industry? In the farming industry, there are many firms, each contributing to a small portion to the total market supply. Secondly, what types of product do the firms sell? Wheat is an identical product, meaning that wheat from one farm is indistinguishable from wheat from another farm. Additionally, wheat is a normal good, meaning that as consumers' income increase, the demand for wheat also increase. Thirdly, who determines the price of the product and why? In a perfectly competitive market, the price of wheat is determined by the market. No single firm can influence the price due to the large number of producers and the nature of identical products. The market price is set by the intersection of the supply and demand curves. And how would you describe the competition between firms in this industry? Competition in the wheat farming industry is intense. Firms compete mainly on efficiency and cost since they cannot influence the market price. Next slide, please. Um, in the short run, what determines whether or not a firm should produce? If it does produce, how much should it produce? So in the short run, a firm will produce at the point where marginal cost is equals to marginal revenue, which is the market price. If the market price is above the average total cost, the firm makes a profit. If the market price, um, so wait, like if the market price is above the average total cost, the first makes a profit, which is indicated by the profit zone in the graph. And if the price is between the average variable cost and the ATC, the firm incurs a loss but continues to operate in the short run to cover its variable costs and some fixed costs, minimizing overall losses. And if the market price falls below the average variable cost, the firm should shut down, as it cannot cover its variable cost shown by the shutdown zone. And lastly, what happens in the long run for perfect competition? In the long run, firms make zero economic profit. When new firms enter the market, they increase the overall supply of the product, which leads to a decrease in the market price. If these firms exit the market, the reduction of the supply will drive the market price up until the remaining firms are making zero economic profit.
Now moving on to monopolistic competition. We're going to be using the tutoring industry as the example. So the example firm that I chose is Kumon, which is a tutoring firm that teaches elementary students math and reading skills. So the method that they use to differentiate their product is individualized tutoring as well as independent learning content. Basically, they create courses that can allow students to learn by themselves. So for monopolistic competition, there are many similar firms within the industry. And of course, within this industry, in the tutoring industry, they sell tutoring services, teaching students, and the price is determined mainly by the market, but it can also be somewhat controlled by the firms themselves. And their price changes can be justified by modifying their, for example, in this case, the difficulty or the content that they teach the students. And the and hold on. And of course, similar to perfect competition, monopolistically competitive firms do not make a economic profit in the long run. And as you can see in these graphs will show the in the first graph it shows a economic profit. So this is when the price is above the average total cost. You'll see that they gain a profit here. If they if the price is below average total cost, then they will be making a loss. And if the price is the same as the average total cost, they will be breaking even. So the firm should continue producing or giving out their service as long as their price is above the average variable cost, similar to perfect competition. And for the quantity, they will be producing or giving out the services equal to where the marginal cost equals to marginal revenue. So in general, monopolistic competition is quite similar to perfect competition, except for a little bit less firms in the industry and being able to differentiate their products and have some control over their price.
So, looking at oligopoly, the airline industry is a classic example of an oligopoly. There are few major firms that dominate this market, and these firms include like Delta Air, American Airlines, United Airlines, and also Air Canada and such. So one of the questions are, what types of products do these firms sell? These airlines offer a variety of products. It includes some international flights, domestic flights, and also it's more of a service industry. Also, who determines the price of the product? Since they are a few companies dominating this market, the price is usually determined by the firms themselves when they assess their cost and stuff. So going back to the product differentiation. So let's take Delta Airline as an example. Delta Airline has different products by having more different classes and experience for each flight. For example, there is a loyalty program for Delta Airline called Sky Miles. And then this is an extensive in-flight entertainment option and partners with international carriers. This helps the customer have some better experience compared to others who didn't um pay for this service. So in microeconomics, we've learned a graph for oligopoly, and this graph is called the kinked demand curve. It has two segments, a relatively elastic segment above the current price and a relatively inelastic segment below the current price. The kink occurs at the current market price and quantity, Q and P, which is point A in the graph. Should a firm produce? A firm should produce if the price covers the average variable cost. above the ABC. How much to produce, you might ask? The firm produces where the marginal cost, MC, is equal to the marginal revenue, the MR. Due to the kink, the MR curve is discontinuous, has a vertical gap at the kinked point, which is between point A and the point MR. No, not the point MR, the point below P2. So when does a profit occur? It occurs if the price is above the average total cost. And for loss, it occurs if the price is below the average total cost. And when it breaks even, the price equals the average total cost. Firms protect their profits through innovation, improving the technology, improving the product itself, and building a strong brand loyalty so that the customers, even if there's a new brand coming in, they'll still choose their trusted firm.
Next, I'll talk about monopoly. So the monopoly I'm choosing as an example is BC Hydro. So BC Hydro, it provides mechanical and electrical energy to, well, BC, and it's a natural monopoly, which means that this power is cheaper when it's produced by only one firm, and it has a downward sloping long run average total cost. And on the graph, it'll just constantly have a downward slope. So, what does a monopoly look like? It only has one firm in the industry, like BC Hydro, and the product that BC Hydro produces, as I already said, it produces power and it sells it to households. And the producers are the people who determine the price of the product. And if you look at the graph, which will be shown later, the price and the demand is corresponding, and the producers will set the price, and then that will set the demand, quantity demanded as well. Now, this is very different to perfect competition because in perfect competition, you cannot set the price. They're price takers, but it is quite similar to a monopolistic competition graph. In the long run, a monopoly will usually earn a profit given that in the graph, the price is above the average total cost point. And they can protect the profit through means of barriers to entry. That's what keeps an industry as a monopoly, that's one firm. Some other barriers to entries include contracts, which prevent other firms from entering, and high setup costs, which also does that. And it is very expensive for a new firm to want to enter the monopoly. That's why they cannot. The next page. Now we'll look at a graph of a typical monopoly. So to answer the questions, whether we determine if the firm should produce or not. So first, let's look at what their profit maximizing point should be. You will see when the marginal cost equals marginal revenue, that is QM, and you go all the way up to point E, which is PN. And now that is the point, the price and the quantity they will produce at. Then we will look at the average total cost. That determines if in the long run, the monopoly will be earning money or losing money. So we can see in this point that F is below E, which means that the green square is profit that they are making. That means that they will continue to produce. Now, how much do they produce? As previously mentioned, QM is where marginal revenue equals marginal cost.
Hand warming hoodies. This is such a crazy idea that we have come up with as a group. So what is this crazy idea all about? So imagine in front of me is a huge hoodie, you look at its sleeves right here. You cut a hole in the wrist area. You make it so that the user are able to stick their thumb through it, leaving a big portion of sleeve onto their palm consistently. What we do is we put heating elements inside the palm area, wire it all the way into the pouch where we're able to store a removable hardware where the battery, the PCB, and whatever the else is inside. So, what type of industry does this product falls into? What we believe is that it actually falls into oligopoly. Although that there is no such product in the market currently. There are different substitute products and alternate products. For example, jackets that are heatable, but not to the hand area, but to the whole body. So who are our main competitors? Currently, the heating jacket industry is pretty much dominated by a few other firms. One specific firm we all might know is called Milwaukee. Not only do they make heating jackets, they also make drills and drill bits and whatsoever. What type of fixed and variable cost would you have to produce your product? In this product, for the fixed cost, it's pretty simple. It's the battery, the PCB, the wiring, the heating element, and the hoodie itself that we're gonna have to produce. And what type of variable cost? If in one day that this is gonna be a big industry and we're gonna produce in a factory, the fixed cost, the variable cost will be also the labor and advertisements and yeah. So what other ways do you plan? Next question. What types of entry barriers could you use to protect our profit? We could always patent it, of course, but we don't have the money yet. Another way of entry barrier is to, I think patent is the only way. Is it possible for us to make a profit in the long run? I believe yes. Why? Because this would be a product in which a lot of people would prefer instead of the heating bulky jackets. And since more people is in favor of our products and we're able to make profit of each product sold, then there in the long run there will always be profit. Thank you, and that is our product. And finally, we wish you have a great day and thank you for listening to our whole presentation.